As we always say, never really a dull day in Cleveland sports, and we are here to talk about it all right here on the Voice of the Land, brought to you by the great people at Greeny Sports Cards. Reach out to them, greenysportscards.com, figure out where they're going to be next. Of course, the big card show coming up in April, the Great Lakes Collectors Convention. Plenty of people jumping on board with that. It's going to be bigger and better than ever at the Fieldhouse in Independence, so make sure to get all the details there and everything else that they do. Cleveland greensportscards.com, and always follow them on social media channels, and they are live every Tuesday with some eBay bids and some special guests and everything. And I mean, this weekend, if you're one of the first 1,000 fans in the door, I think I want to say Saturday, I might be wrong, could be Sunday, but one of the last two Crunch home games, you can get a pack of Crunch player cards coming up this weekend. And so you
Nice.
open up those packs, you got plenty of those players. And so definitely forward to that. Get your tickets, theclevelandcrunch.com. Let's pack the Wolstein Center this weekend for the final two home games. I am Kevin Arnold. He is Ryan Mosser. We will touch on a Crunch update at the end of the show and where they stand and everything like that. I have a little bit of an announcement to go along with that.
Okay.
So we will touch on that as we go. But Ryan, the only really place to start is, as much as it's quieted down and legal tampering period should really just be the start of the league year, because that's when the news actually comes out. Free agency and the new NFL league year is here. The Browns have signed several free agents.
hmm
And really, what it is what we've kind of been talking about. What we knew the thing was going to be, right? Offensive line, and try to build up something that didn't exist.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually quite surprised that Andrew Berry went after so many offensive linemen in free agency so quickly too. Nonetheless, we were just a week ago going into the season with a lot of questions, and now we have three of the five positions relatively, I would say, intact. We're not sure. I don't know if Tevin Jenkins is going to be the starter. We'll see probably, but I mean, short, stack on some more, pieces just for rotations regardless. But hey, they're filling in exactly what we need. And, I couldn't be more excited. So.
Couldn't be more. Yeah, I mean, like it's what they had to do. Like people, they ask the question, do you like what they've done? Do you approve of what they've done? Do you just? I mean, the only like all I can say is that I approve of what's being done because that's what had to be done.
Right.
Like that's
Exactly.
that's the main area of focus. Now, the next question is, what does Joel Batonio do? I know that there was the cap hit because his contract did void. So, but the Browns are willing to let him take his time. I think the only, and I don't want to say it's a bad thing because I don't think anybody's gonna not like Joel Batonio or have any issues with anybody in this situation. But if he decided to play one more year but decided to go somewhere else, like that's again not worst case scenario, but just would suck that you'd then be weird to see him in a different uniform, but you'd understand it. Like if he still wants to play football and go somewhere else, I think that's really the only question. It's been assumed that it's either retirement or the Browns. I mean, who knows? I mean, he's taking his time to make this decision, and nobody should have an issue with that, right? I think people have,
Right.
or at least phrased or framed kind of the situation, and they kind of have an issue with it. I don't have an issue with the Browns giving him the time, and I don't have an issue with him taking all the time he wants.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the old heads, it's Browns or bust, but I mean, this guy has put in his time, a former second round pick, excuse me, and has been with the Browns forever. He's never hurt. He's
Mhm.
always there. The only time he's ever like even out of practice is when it was like scheduled time just for rest because he's a veteran. This guy has been, the heart and soul of this offensive line, and there's no animosity. I'm not gonna, have any ill will towards Joel Batonio if he decides to take his talents elsewhere to go chase a Super Bowl ring. He's at the end of his career. Yes, of course, it's always nice to have these guys end their career with the Browns, but I mean, Joe Thomas obviously being that that guy, especially with Denver allegedly wanting to offer a first round pick for him just to have that, final year be with Peyton Manning instead with the Browns. And the Browns decided to keep him here. And Joe Thomas has been here forever. He could be a Browns legend still, even if he goes somewhere else. Bernie Kosar is a testament to that too. Bernie, I mean, it wasn't his decision, of course, but he still left. He won a Super Bowl elsewhere, and and he's still revered in the city. Everyone loves him. So if Joel wants to go try to chase a ring, go have fun, buddy. If he wants to come back and be a Brown, that's exciting for me too, because we need bodies at the position, and what better than Joel Bitonio, who's been on this team for 10 plus years. Or if he decides to retire, he's going to become down, probably as a Browns legend for sure. Probably not a Hall of Famer, unfortunately, because of, the accolades that the Browns, lacked during his tenure here. But nonetheless, he'll be a Browns legend regardless.
It's interesting you say that, because and I'm not saying first ballot, but a lot of people that talk about like Hall of Fame and Joel Bitonio almost make it sound like a foregone conclusion that he will be
that'd be nice. I just don't
Hall of Famer because of the Joe Thomas model. Like Joe Thomas didn't have, they didn't have team success when he was here, but that doesn't take away from your Hall of Fame status. I mean, Myles Garrett will be a first ballot Hall of Famer, obviously, but
right.
Unfortunately, the team success doesn't match what he's been able to do. Joe Bitonio go in the Ring of Honor. If he goes somewhere else to chase a ring for a year, I'm sure like that first year that he does retire, he'll be in the Ring of Honor here. I don't think unlike Hall of Fame, I don't think you have to wait any time for those types of things with specific teams. And I'm sure him and his wife, his kids, they'll be, I'm sure they'll have like a home here, a spot here. Like, I know Joe Thomas lives and he runs a farm and runs his beef business in Wisconsin, where he's from, but like he still has ties here, and his family comes with him here. And like anytime he talks about the Browns, it's always we. It's not, he hasn't transitioned to they. Like it's still all about the we, even though he's being asked to be an analyst on this stuff. Yeah. Joe Bitonio will be the same way. Now, if he comes back, again for another year, you have some guys on some, 2 or 3 year contracts. That just helps them grow. That's an extension of George Warhop, the respected offensive line coach. That, whether you like these guys or not, and I don't know how you feel, Ryan. Like I love PFF as a tool. For some reason, I feel like we go it's either all PFF or none. Like it's not used the way that it should. So like people don't like it because the PFF says this thing, or they like it because PFF says this, but it's not. I like it because I see a guy that has this, and I'm hoping that at least Andrew Berry and the front office and this team and George Warhop sees stuff in these guys that they feel like they can get more out of.
Yeah, I mean, PFF, if anything, is just a tool. If anything, I would not take it as the Bible of sports and analysis. Nonetheless, I don't know. I mean, the fact of the matter is that there aren't many elite offensive linemen that hit free agency. They're not. I mean, Tyler Linderbaum may be the only guy out of the bunch who might have been an elite free agent center, and you see the contract that he obviously got, which is just the market's set now. It's insane for centers, and I don't even know if he's the best center in the NFL. So I mean, he's maybe top 3, maybe top 5. Very good nonetheless. I would love him on my team, but wow, what a contract. That being said, like we need to fill these holes. Guys like, Zion Johnson, who's a former first-round pick. He's a former first-round pick for a reason. He's built like a tank. He's powerful through his core. He plays with a technician's mindset as well. His time at the Chargers were for sure up and down. Some of that was obviously him, but some of that was the chaos around him too. But I think the talent never went anywhere. It's just got to be tapped. He's got a lot of strength. He's got, heavy hands. He's got a real pop, at the point of attack. His anchor's strong against bull rushers. He's smart. A former first round pedigree as well. He's got, sound assignment as well. Rarely out of position. He's durable. The weaknesses are there though. His lateral quickness can be tested, by elite interior athletes for sure. He can get stuck on blocks easily with, his feet, basically just stop. But every risk has a reward. This guy could be, he's going to be on our offensive line. There's a lot of potential there. It's up, like you said, for, Warhop to bring that out of him, and out of every, former players who, Warhop was with the Browns at one point. I heard John Greco talking 92.3 The Fan with the Ken Carmen show about how he just absolutely loved Warhop, and how much of a great coach he was, and how much, it helped that offensive line with Alex Mack, and Joe Thomas and all these guys, blossom. So, there is that hope there. It's on the coaches here, and Andrew Berry is not afraid to take a swing here and hope that, one of these guys are going to stick. I also, Titus Howard, that traded another big swing, kind of move that really doesn't, make national headlines, but I think absolutely changes the floor of our offense. So, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to sit there for the next 10 years, but at least it's pieces who have been in the league for a little while, relatively proven, and now necessarily we don't have to, use our top, first round picks, the two of them, on a right tackle, and maybe Francis Manoa, or maybe not a guard at 24. We might be able to spread it out, between other needs on this offense. So I don't know.
I saw, I think it was Titus Howard who, had signed, he was in the building, signed his extension, and was like getting around to visiting some of his teammates they're in doing their rehab, and like working out at the facility and stuff like that. And he's talking about how he loved working with George Warhop, and telling everybody that you're gonna have to work for this guy, but like you end up loving him. So look, I'm not looking for all pros across the board. Like, is that the dream as an offensive line? Sure, but I need guys that aren't going to be swinging doors, right. And you need to be able to create some holes in the run game, because I think you and I talked about this, like the crazy stats behind Quinshawn Judkins, and how many yards he had after contact,
insane
total this year. Like it was almost, I think it was like 95% or something like that. Like at one point during the season, we had talked about it, and he was at like 700 some yards total, and like it was still in the 700s of yards after contact, because he was getting hit in the backfield, or like right at the line of scrimmage, or behind it so often. So, right. I just need guys that are, just NFL offensive linemen that are going to do their job, and I don't have to hear their name or their number, at least, and see their name pop up when the broadcasts tell you like what name goes with what number. When someone in black and white stripes is got a yellow flag in their hand, like that's what I don't need. Are they going to happen? Are penalties going to happen? Yeah, penalties are part of the game, and
right.
and you could go with the adage that there's holding in every place, so someone's going to get caught at some point or whatever. But constantly, consistently, like having like 10, 7 penalties a game, and you're hearing the same numbers every single game. That's what you don't want. Now, left tackle is still the open spot. I don't know. I know that there is one like left tackle that's probably the top free agent. Everybody's kind of on most people's rankings right now. I think he's from Green Bay, or was
Walker.
Playing at Green. Yeah, I think so. But you could go, if you fill up everything else and you have depth at the offensive line and left tackles there, like, okay, now you can, maybe look for one of those in the draft. But I don't know. I'm still at wide receiver at 6, but I also know that they're probably going to trade down, and that's probably where you're going to take the offensive lineman anyways. Like, we're resigning myself to the fact that we're going to get a wide receiver, just not where I want them to take one. But luckily it's deep enough draft and deep enough talent pool that you can still get a really good player at that spot and get some sort of playmaking out there on the outside.
Yeah, I'm still best player available personally at 6, regardless of position. But I don't think that we're necessarily a year or 2 away. Wow, early this time. What's up, Link?
Good. He just got home from shopping with mommy.
Nice.
Nice. Okay. Can you close the door, buddy? Yeah. Thank you.
He's
Good
getting
job,
big,
bud.
man.
Yeah, he's getting big. Yeah, he he is getting little Link. He's getting pretty big. But you were talking about best player available.
Yeah, I'm still taking best player available. I just don't think that we are necessarily a year, maybe 2 years away. Especially with this 2027 draft and the potential players that will be in it. We'll see. But nonetheless, if David Bailey, the edge of Texas Tech, is there. I know we don't need an edge, but oh my gosh, just he's so good. Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs. Yeah, of course, I would still take a receiver there. I personally think, obviously, the worst kept secret in football is Andrew Berry is going to trade out of 6. He's going to use, especially if one of those guys who I mentioned are there, he's going to try to use them as leverage to move out, get more picks, and try to, like you said, get that offensive lineman, Monroe Freeling, or maybe Vega Leone out of Penn State, the guard, or someone else. But like I said, worst kept secret. He's going to trade out of 6. So
yeah, I think again we're kind of resigning ourselves to that, so that if he doesn't, and let's say Cardinal Tate is announced, like it makes you feel better, even though it's kind of what you wanted the whole time.
right.
You kind of have a little bit more of excitement there. And you talk about prospects. Do you have a prospect for us to look for tonight?
Yeah, I do. Do you want to go over them real quick?
Sure. Let's talk draft prospect. I could break down every single free agent signing. I'm glad that the punter's back, and the comments of the special teams coordinator didn't amount to that he's not here. Like,
right.
Like that triumvirate of punter, kicker, and long snapper, they're back. So like, okay, now fix your coverage teams. Whatever. Storer, is that his name? I don't even know the name of the special.
I don't remember that. I don't remember. Chris Tabor.
Yeah. Someone from Green Bay. Yeah. Like whatever your name is, fix your coverage teams. I don't know what to tell you.
Right. Yeah. So let's go over this prospect. So I actually picked a guy that they could probably take. A lot of Browns fans fell in love with him at the combine. So I'm going to break down Monroe Freeling, the left tackle out of Georgia. So, all right, let's do this. So how I break this down, usually when I watch tape, I've actually, I break down several things I'm looking for with, every single position, specifically, offensive linemen. I have this whole rubric that I go through, and as I'm watching, I go through, and it's got subcategories. I won't get into it, but this is basically what I saw on tape. So, his measurables archetype. Monroe Freeling enters a draft with the exact physical profile that NFL teams covet at a left tackle. 6'7" and 3/8, 315 pounds, 34.5-inch arms. His hands are huge. His wingspan is over 84 inches, which is insane. It gives him a true, prototype blindside, length for the left tackle in the NFL. His frame is tall, lean, flexible. It still has the room to add, functional mass without sacrificing, the movement skills that make him such an intriguing prospect. His athletic testing only, reinforced what, the tape already showed at the combine. He posted a, 4.9 340. His vertical was 33.5 inches, 9'7" broad jump. Dude, numbers that are unheard of, for someone his size, for sure. He's unquestionably a left tackle, not a swing option or a guard projection. His body type and movement profile are tailor-made for left tackle position. So he plays with steady, composed competitiveness, that shows up snap after snap. He isn't, a pure brawler yet, I would say. His play strength is still catching up to him, his frame. But he battles through contact and doesn't panic when he loses early in the rep. He stays engaged against power rushers, even when they get into his chest, and he rarely checks out of plays. He's definitely still learning how to finish with more force, but the willingness is obviously there, and he consistently shows toughness and durability, that you want in a long-term blindside protector. His background, he was a top 50 national recruit with basically every major program chasing him, and Georgia viewed him as a long-term cornerstone for, from the moment he arrived. The coaching staff consistently praised his athletic ceiling, his natural left tackle traits, but he doesn't have the large volume of college snaps. I think he only played 17 games total, which is obviously not ideal for someone that you want to draft high, especially at one of the most important positions in football. That lack of experience shows up specifically in his hand timing, his overall strength, and the occasional inconsistency in his technique. Even so, the raw material, is absolutely special. Georgia just doesn't hand out blindside reps unless they believe in the player and they trusted him because of the traits are that good. Pass protection is where, his upside becomes obvious. He covers ground effortlessly, but is very smooth, has controlled kick slide that allows him to gain width without losing balance. And speed rushers rarely threaten him because he naturally sits into a clean left tackle posture. His recoverability is one of his best traits as well. And his length and athleticism allow him to reset and stay attached even when he loses the first phase of the rep. His hands are still developing, as I said. He flashes with independent strikes, but the timing isn't always consistent, which is important. You have to have consistent hand timing in the NFL as a left tackle. And he'll occasionally throw wide as well. Mistime punches that expose his chest, and that's not good. His anchor is adequate, but not yet dominant. Intense power rushers can walk him back if they get into his frame early. Even with those areas to refine, he already looks like a high-level pass protector in terms of movement, range, natural feel. And, in the polish, I think it will come with NFL coachings and, when he adds strength as well. His run blocking is where I think he needs to grow the most personally. He is explosive out of his stance, especially in zone concepts, and his ability to reach and cut off, 4-eye and 5-tech defenders is, outstanding. However, he is not a people mover yet. He wins with angles and positioning rather than raw displacement, and his hands can slip when he tries to sustain blocks. He doesn't always generate the torque needed to finish plays, and his overall play strength still needs to catch up to his athleticism. Right now, he is a finesse run blocker who thrives in space. He'll need a year or two in the NFL strength program before he becomes a true dual threat tackle. He's got great, processing for a player with limited experience. I think he does it well. He recognizes stunts and twists, understands leverage, and uses his length intelligently to steer defenders. He can be half beat late on late pressures. But the awareness is there, and he rarely looks overwhelmed mentally. He isn't raw from a processing standpoint, but he's young and he's still adjusting to the speed and complexity at a high level of football. His athletic profile, I think, is where he separates himself from the class. He's one of the best movers at his size, showing rare fluidity and balance, especially for a tackle that's 6'7". His frame is tailor-made for the position, and his movement skills give him a ceiling very few offensive line can match. His traits are he is a trait-driven prospect with legitimate high upside and athleticism, is the foundation of his production. Obviously, his combine, performance validated everything that tape suggested. He's huge. He's fast. His RAS is relative athletic score. If you ever heard of this, Kevin, the RAS.
Yeah.
So
Raz.
all right. Yeah. I call it RAS. Kent Lee Platt.
I heard that. So.
Oh, you're good. At MathBomb. He basically has developed this where he goes, I think through 1987. He has through now and basically ranks all these guys based off their combine numbers, and goes through an algorithm. He has a 9.99 RAS, which is second out of all offensive tackles from 1987 till now, out of 1,512. And that confirms that he tested like a first-round athlete. For a man his size, those numbers are unprecedented. They reinforce the idea of his ceiling is as high as any tackle in this class. I think that, he projects as a long-term blindside with, one of the highest ceilings in this class. Like I said, he's not a finished product yet, guys. He's not. He needs more mass, more power, and more, technical refinement, but the movement skills, the length, the natural pass pro instincts are all there. I think he fits best in zone-heavy hybrid schemes that value athletic tackles who can operate in space with proper development. I think he has the potential to become a top-tier left tackle. Now, would I take him at pick 6? I don't know. This is where I plant my flag. I think he's a trait place projection player. He's not a finished product. He doesn't have a ton of college starts. His run blocking needs real development. I'd say his anchor needs strengthening. His hands need refinement. I think taking him at 6 overall would be a massive reach from where he is today. At 24, I'm more comfortable, if the Browns trade back from 6 and land somewhere in the teens, early 20s, then we could talk. But at 6, I think that's way too rich for a player who's still learning how to, use his gifts. I do think that he does fit the Browns, though. I think the Browns need, obviously, the long-term stability of a left tackle. They need someone who can handle speed, without help, someone who can operate in space, someone who, fits a movement-based offense. And he checks all of those boxes. He would immediately upgrade the athleticism on the offensive line. He would give the Browns, like I said, a true developmental blindside tackle with elite upside. And I think he would fit perfectly in the Monken and Schweitzer system that values mobility, angles, and space. So, but I just think at 6 is way too early for my taste.
So just a few things off of that, if I may, before we kind of move on and of course talk some other stuff that's going on.
Sorry, that was a lot.
No, that's what I just sit back and I marvel at how much you can break this down and like what we get on the show just by having you here. So I just take it all in, and then whenever again, this isn't radio, so number one, we don't have to get to a commercial break, so that's totally fine. Plus, that's the breakdown, and I think it's important that it is that long, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
The way that you explain it, I think everybody can understand.
That's why I try to do.
Yeah. Yes. So because people they'll pull out the the terminology and stuff like that, like heavy hands and whatnot, go deeper and deeper if you want.
Sure.
Into the vocabulary or vernacular. Not everybody's going to understand that, but I think you use that terminology and then you explain what that means and how it translates and all those types of things. So I think it's important that your breakdown on each player is lengthy. So just going off of that though, I agree with you that I feel like 6 is a reach, but
right.
If they were to decide to do that and they don't trade down and they take him at 6, and
I would understand
it. Yes, and I don't. We may if we have a reaction show, we may disagree. By the way, we probably won't have a show on draft night. You might be able to do something.
I'm actually doing a live show on the commissioner's couch. So
yeah. So because I'll be in studio and behind the scenes and doing a lot of stuff. But when we get a chance to get back together and react, we may have disagreements and stuff. I'm not going to crush the Browns for doing that. I know I tweeted out and our station did the Field Yates version of a mock draft, kind of that top 10, just immediate kind of just flash mock draft for the top 10.
Right.
And I know Grossi put Monroe Freeling right there. And Tony Grossi, longtime beat reporter and analyst, covering the Browns for a very, very long, a very long time. I don't want to make him sound old. He's, trust me, he is funny. He has got some he's got old school humor, but new school humor as well. Just saw the breaking news come through. I don't think anybody's surprised by this. Kyler Murray going to Minnesota.
Nice. Okay.
So we'll see how reports go and where JJ McCarthy's future goes. Anybody that thinks that he's expendable wants him to come here.
No,
please,
oh my god.
Please no.
Oh no.
Please no.
Send him to Baltimore where Jesse Mitchell can help him cheat again.
Yes. Well, yeah, why not? Get Connor Stallions back on the but going back to Monroe Freeland, I tweeted reaction because they were like, what do you feel about this if they were to do this? And I said wide receiver at 6 no matter what. That's how I feel. That's what I want, but I'm not to the point where I'm going to be all upset because I don't get what I want. I'm not going to be a toddler kicking and screaming because I didn't get my way.
Right.
I'm not paid to make the decisions. That's what they are. And I would also understand it even though it would be considered a reach, if they took Monroe Freeling there because he is rising up draft boards. Maybe they think that trading back, you're going to have I don't see them trading up from 24. That's one thing there.
Sure.
So if they were to trade any pick, it's in the first round, it's going to be 6 and trading back. And maybe like the intel that you're getting, someone else is going to take him before you even get a chance to come back up there. So I can see it. Plus, he's one of the few left tackle, like pure left tackle, like prospects, especially near the top. And I like that about him. With Francis Maui Noah and Spencer Fano and some of those other, like, I hear people saying like, yeah, they're right tackles, but like they might project as guard. Like, if I'm going to protect a quarterback's blind side, whether he's left-handed, you need the right tackle. He's right-handed, you need the left tackle. I want someone that has what you're talking about, the pure skills for that position. Can I break down offensive line? No, but I know what I need to see. I know like what needs to happen. And DeJuan Jones flipping over from right tackle to left tackle, like, you see how difficult that is. As much as people want Jed Wills, like, as much as people want to try to convince us now that like everything is interchangeable and it's not that hard to switch. Okay, but I think we're seeing that it is, and that if you're able to do it and you're able to do it seamlessly and make it look easy, you got a lot of talent in your body if you're able to do that. So I like that he is that pure left tackle. If they don't address that in like this next phase of free agency and they decide to go that route, great. But a wide receiver has to be taken in that first round. Like, I think that's where I am staunch at, is that you want to get in your first, like, 2 of your first 3 picks, because you have 3 picks in the top 39. 2 of them are offensive line. You're adding depth there and you're adding youth there and cheaper contracts. Great. That's what you need to do. I need a wide receiver in one of those 3 picks. That's where I'm staunch at. I don't know if I'm right to do that, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, the necessity is a number 1 wide receiver, not just a wide receiver as well.
Right.
So, I mean, the obvious choice would be with that first pick in the first round to go wide receiver if that's a position of need. At 24, you might be able to, the tier 2 is definitely a drop for me. I could warrant taking a guy at 24, but I would much rather take a guy in the second round. Obviously, I think that there are a few guys who might fall into the first round as receiver, other than those top 3 being Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, and Jordan Tyson. No order particular.
Boston or Cooper for you? Oh boy.
Oh, Kevin.
Either a good question or a bad question.
That's foreshadowing for the commissioner couch tonight. Omar Cooper is not high on my list. I think he's 23rd ranked out of receivers in this draft.
Okay.
Catch me later, guys. Commissioner Couch podcast. I'll break that down. Only a few of you will hear that news and be not shocked, but nonetheless, Boston, Casey Concepcion. I could warrant Zachariah Branch, Chris Brazel out of Tennessee. There's a couple guys who I think could fall into the first round, and I'd probably be comfortable taking a 24. So,
okay.
I mean, I don't think Denzel Boston's a wide receiver 1, but he's one of the shiftiest, fastest guys. Same thing with Mekhi Lemon. One of those guys who
Here's a question though. Can a guy like Boston, I'm just using him as an example.
Yeah.
But like the guys that you would tag as being a good pick, really good pick at 24, if you don't take that, one of the top 3 that are considered to like project as number 1 wide receivers in the NFL.
Right.
Do you? My gosh, I think I may even forgot my question. I said too much.
Denzel Boston.
Yeah, Denzel Boston. Do you see a guy like that having the ability to be better than what we have right now?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I like Denzel Boston. I like Jacoby Lane.
So number 1 on this team, you could see that being, and then like if you continue to address it, he may slide down the depth chart, but that just makes it that much deeper or more dangerous as you add to it. Maybe a new number 1 slots in, but Boston's going to give you what you want.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Jordan Addison is a number 1 receiver on most of these other teams in the NFL, but he's obviously the number 2 because, So, yep. I mean, another thing, I do like Boston. He's 6'3", 208 pounds. I don't know. I do like him. I think he's a great outside receiver and something that we definitely need. I think he can be a number 1. He has a great jump ball ability, which I love. He's got soft hands. He's got long speed. Very very good stride power. I would take him at 24, and I would definitely think he would probably be the top receiver on our team for this year as we look into the future to probably address the position again.
So make sure to catch Ryan coming up next on the Inside Edge Network.
Yeah.
Commissioner's Couch, is that right? Do I have
Yep,
the
the
name right?
Commissioner's Couch Pod. Yep, at the Commissioner Couch.
Yep.
Yep.
So he'll break that down even more, and that's of course for a team that is still trying to build to something,
Yeah.
any sort of consistent contention. A team that is at least in contention. How deep that goes, that's to the interpretation of what we've seen. That is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They do lose last night, 128 to 122. There was a heavy breakdown today of how bad they were, and I know that yes, there is criticism to go around. The free throw shooting has been, people say not enough people are talking about it. I don't know if I've said it on here. Like it's like run through my head. So if you haven't heard me say it enough, that's my fault, Ryan. Not just with Evan Mobley, but for the entire team. Like I have not liked the lack of focus at the free throw line throughout the season. But I mean, yes, Orlando had more free throws, but they weren't shooting the ball that well. You made more threes. I saw, and I don't know if you've ever seen this podcast before, but I like these guys. And apologies if I don't have the names right. I think it's Mike and Chad, but I don't know if I have that right. But the Garage Beers podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
They get like big time guests on there like all the time. I think that I know they've talked to like Tom Hamilton. Like I think their new episode is gonna have Zach Meisel. They're gonna talk Guardians baseball. But one of those guys on that podcast always does like a insert team here, like drinking a recap type thing. And I tend to watch more so when they do the guards and the Cavs ones. And I saw one of the guys say like some nights you have to tip your cap. And that feels like a cop out. And there are things to be critical about. Don't get me wrong. And I don't like the inconsistencies with this team. But I'm watching this game last night, Ryan, and I'm seeing. I know Desmond Bain can shoot, but like catch and shoot and fading away like on one leg, like with someone in his face. De Silva like doing the same thing, like shooting from way behind the arc, like Caitlin Clark range, and like end of the shot clock type things. Like you're defending all the way until the end. These guys are hiking up prayers and they're going in. Like sometimes there are like tip your cap nights. Like Orlando, I don't think can consistently score 128, even whether you have good defense or bad defense. They did last night because things were going in, and Desmond Bain had over 30 points in the game. Like there is a certain balance of where this whole conversation comes back to. Does the regular season really matter? Like when the team wins, Ryan, I don't know if you're seeing this. This is how I feel. When the team wins, just a regular season game. Do that in the playoffs. They lose a game in the regular season, like because teams lose. Like nobody goes undefeated in the NBA. Oh my gosh, the sky is falling. Like this team is awful. Like they're not going to go anywhere. They may get ousted in the first round. Orlando would take them to 7 games and probably beat them. And like all these overreactions after one loss, but like they win a few games in a row, and it's just like, like so. What is it? Was this regular season supposed to matter or no? I've been so more confused than ever on how I've had to view this regular season, and of course bringing in new players and trying to get them to fit into what you're doing. Like I love Keon Ellis, man. Like
dude, me too. Dog.
Keon Ellis right now is what we hope DeAndre Hunter would be. Like, and again, it's a smaller sample size. There was good stuff from Hunter when he first came in, but that faded quickly. Keon Ellis just like. He gets his hands in passing lanes. He makes life difficult. He's knocking down 3 after 3 in that fourth quarter when it matters. Yeah, you want Schroeder to score some points. That's kind of been his career. The Dean Wade thing, like that's an offensive liability that you're trying to tout as a defensive stalwart, but he needs to score some points when he's out there. I get all that. I can break all that down. I don't want to bore people with that because I think a lot of people have done that today. I'm just saying, like sometimes there are nights where the Cavs, like, they kept coming back, and yet, like, every single time Orlando, like, hit some crazy shot at the end of a shot clock to take momentum back. And it just felt like they had that answer all night. There's nights like that. It's not an excuse. It's not good when you lose. That's never good, but I'm not here to, like, be, like, all upset for hours upon hours because I can like compartmentalize it, put it to bed, know that there was bad stuff there, fix it, move on, get yourselves right for the playoffs.
Yeah. I don't know. And obviously our team is not healthy, and I'm not trying to pad on to the excuses, but I mean when we don't have a full healthy team going out there every single night, I mean, does the regular season matter? Because this isn't going to be the hopefully they by postseason they're healthy, and the lineup's going to be totally different. So I mean Kenny Atkinson's out there just trying anything and everything that makes it work, and I mean they're still playing with the resilience. I mean I don't think their identity is really cracked. They're still competing. They're still connected. They're still refusing to fold down the stretch. But nights like this is why getting healthy matters. I think. Against teams like Boston, Orlando, every possession, every rotation, every detail, decides the outcome. The Cavs are learning those lessons in real time. That could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. I'm just tired of this. I'm just ready for the postseason just
Dude,
to end the narrative. I'm just so tired of, defending why they're doing well, why this,
why they're bad,
why this doesn't matter because they're injured. It's just a dumb circus that we're playing here until we just inevitably end up in the playoffs and see what happens. So.
And I'm telling you right now, they get ready for series to go along with this Cavs team, because even if they are healthy, like the lineups they're gonna have to put out there to put the best guys on the floor and give themselves the best chance to win every single night. They're not gonna have much floor time and game time together let alone in regular season type of competition and energy and all of that. It ratchets up in the playoffs, and then you got to try to like match that level and still like figure each other out on the fly. Like that's it sounds bad, and it sounds like I'm leading people down a certain path of like how this postseason is going to go. They have the ability to make a run at this, but it's going to be a lot of like helter skelter and maybe longer series for this team in order to do that, because they're going to be piecing it together. And people that complain about Kenny Atkinson, like he doesn't know how to put a lineup on the floor. I'm sorry, but like he's piecing things together
every game. Yeah.
Like, and the start that they like, if he really wasn't a good coach, I'll tell people this: if he really wasn't a good coach, and I understand what JB Bickerstaff and the Pistons are doing, they've struggled as of late, but they've had an amazing season. They're going to be judged in the playoffs. They'll get a little more leeway because they're just at the start of their run, but people have seen what JB has done in the playoffs and where his line has ended with other teams. They've had a really good season. Like that's amazing. But like they're going to be judged in the playoffs. The Cavs are going to be judged in the playoffs. Every other team is going to be judged in the playoffs. You have to put it together there. And if Kenny Atkinson doesn't get this team to do that, yes, there'll be heavy criticism and decisions will have to be made.
Yep.
But to levy so much criticism on him during the regular season and say he's not a good coach, if you think that, let me tell you why he is. And I'm not trying to convince you if you don't feel like it after I say this. Great. The way this team started, most teams with the type of players on that team and what they've been through in the past and falling out in the second round and like looking disinterested, they'd probably fall by the wayside. He kept this team in it together, found a way to piece just enough to get them on a run, to be in better standing in the Eastern Conference, to, again, to be in that contention window when it looked like a team that could be in the play-in this year.
Right.
He has he has helped turn that around. Has it fully turned the way that you want it? No. But when bad habits are around, and that's a criticism towards the coach, but it's also a criticism of players that people won't give them. When you let bad habits creep in and you let them stick around, like bad free throw shooting, it remains a problem because you didn't put a stop to it soon enough.
Right. I mean, I never played basketball. What how do you fix bad free throw shooting? This is maybe a dumb question, but I mean, other than just practicing the same shot you've done your entire career, I mean, I mean, is it pressure? Is it outside noise? Is it a locker room thing?
I mean,
is it bad luck? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it's a lot of it's a lot of stuff. Like, you gotta be consistent in your form every single time. Why does Steph Curry? Why did Mark Price hit so many free throws, like 90%? Like, even they didn't hit 100%. So like, there's still going to be, there's still that that avenue for, here's a shot where like the mechanics are off, but
Sure.
mostly every other time it's there. It is practice. Now it is different when you're in an NBA arena, and the depth is different than you are in your practice facility out there in Independence. But like, you have to manufacture that pressure or that crowd noise somehow, and I know that these teams have the ability to do that. More and more technology is out there to do that, but like, you either have it or you don't. Shaq is one of the greatest players of all time. Couldn't hit a free throw. But part of that was his shooting form was atrocious. And like, it never got better because people just thought like, this is a dominant dude. I'm just gonna let him focus on slamming people through a hoop and dunking on fools and absolutely crushing guys as he comes to screen for a jump shooter and those types of things, or rolling to the rim and people are gonna get out of his way. Like, but for someone like Evan and guys on the rest of this team, like, I see video from shoot around where they are shooting free throws. And like, they're like standing at the free throw line. Like, that's the video for what the media can get, the period of the practice the media can get.
Right.
And like, I'm seeing misses there too. Like, but like, there's not a coach coming up to them to help them, or like, get to the free throw line and shoot a bunch. Get that form down. Do that. Get to the 3-point line. Get your form down. Get your legs down. Get down what you need to. Get in the post. Turnarounds. How much weight or height or arc do you have to put on your floater? Spin moves. You got to work on every aspect of your game, and it can't just be I'm not saying this is true, Ryan. Just gonna tell you, like, I didn't play basketball at a high level. I just know the game. I was taught the game. I know what to look for. These players are going to forget more of that game than I will ever know. But I can tell when someone is half-assing something,
Right.
or going through the motions.
So it sounds like coaching then, and that's the problem.
I coaching, but also like, I mean, but part of this is like, you're also professionals. You're also adults.
Sure.
Like, you need someone to hold your hand and motivate you to improve something that you're doing wrong on a team that has high aspirations.
True.
Like, coaches do need to do that. They need to get on your ass about stuff. But like, it has to be a two-way street. Coach can do all the right things, say all the right things. Players have to do the same thing too.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a collection. So what I'm saying is,
so culture.
Everything is going to go to Kenny, and culture still is built by the coaches too. But you have to make sure we hold the players accountable too. And to a certain extent, I feel like Kenny does that, because, or else this season would have totally went off the rails when you saw how bad things were around Christmas time with this team. Yeah. Things could have gone totally off the rails. If you don't have a good culture, that doesn't happen. Do you have a championship culture right now? I got to see it to believe it. That's where the Cavs are right now. Quickly, USA, they, thanks, Italy. Thank you for fixing Mark DeRosa's issue. Like, that's where a manager does get some criticism. Did you see what he said before that game against Italy?
I did. My goodness.
I thought they were already in. But like, no. But like, it's not just him. Like, he's on a baseball show that probably has the rules like in front of them. Like, no one says anything. Then like, coaching staff says anything. Like, nobody else knew that they hadn't sealed up a spot yet in their, going into their last game. Like, okay, they're in the quarterfinals. They get Canada. I think it's time for the big names like Aaron Judge and Bryce Harper to actually do things in big moments. They're really great players. They've done big things in Major League Baseball. What has Aaron Judge not done? Won a World Series. Right. The Yankees to the world. But people will act like and you can do that all with Shohei Ohtani, because what's Ohtani won? World Series with the Dodgers. Talk about their team all you want. Shohei Ohtani still shows up when he's needed. Aaron Judge, he's talked about like he's like this like great like world multi-time World Series champion and everything. He's the captain of that team, and there was a speech in the clubhouse before the World Baseball Classic started, and you would have thought that he was reading a book to toddlers to try to put them to sleep as he was trying to motivate his team. you know, put up or shut up, boys. I do like what Bazana did in the World Baseball Classic.
Yep.
I know Bo Naylor has looked decent. Will any of this translate to the regular season? Baseball is a hard game, man.
Yeah.
And it's great if you have like you're hitting 400 in the spring and you make a roster. You start in April and you're hitting 130. Like I was actually talking about this with Andre not the other day. And we were talking about like that balance between like how do you gauge players and their position on a team, like how solidified they are on a roster, right? Based on like whether they're if they're struggling in spring training or whatever. And we brought up the two examples of Kyle Manzardo and Nolan Jones. Manzardo, yeah, like his numbers don't look good, but they expect him that he's going to hit and he's going to be an everyday player. Like he is on that roster, like he has a spot, and they're not concerned about what he's doing. Nolan Jones struggling though. He struggled for several seasons now, and he's had some injury history. And is it between the ears? Is it a mental thing? Thinking too much at the plate? That's a guy that he's probably not solidified on this team. You got to contribute if you're going to make that outfield out there, because there's some young guys that are
hungry. Yeah,
they're hungry. Chase the Water wants to show what he has. Can he stay healthy? Big question. George Valera finally healthy for him too.
Reese Hoskins maybe thrown out there. So
yeah, I mean, like if you carry four outfielders right now, I would say Valera, DeLauder, Kwan, and Hoskins.
Yeah.
And Jones has no more options. So to go to the minors. So that's where spring matters, is for guys like that are trying to show that their struggles aren't who they are and they're trying to solidify their spot on a roster. Look, if Kyle Manzardo doesn't hit well for the first 3 months of the season, like there's going to be questions and things like that. Like I'm not here to just push away bad numbers for a player, but there's a little more faith there because you've seen more from a Manzardo versus a Jones.
Yeah.
I love Nolan Jones. Your boss at Inside Edge Network. Like we did captains games together. He always said Nolan Jones, Double A Anthony Alford. Love Nolan Jones.
Yeah.
Sure, he'd even say like, that's great in the minors, but top prospect. But you got to
love for him to hit for the Guardians.
Yeah, you got to show up in the major leagues.
Yeah.
How are you getting excited for baseball at all, or just kind of letting it?
I have so much on my plate. I'm just letting it fizzle in, man. I'm tuning into the WBC a little bit. Obviously, checking in on Travis Bazzana, like you said. I do agree with you. I love what Travis has been doing in the WBC. I think that's he's not holding just holding his own. I think he's starring. His bat speed is jumping. The approach looks big league mature. I think his tracking spin, his he's punching mistakes. He's carrying himself like the guy who knows one hot month away from forcing Cleveland to force their hand. I think that's what makes this so exciting, is because him doing well, I mean, it theoretically could accelerate his timeline. And obviously the Guardians want to bring him along slowly, but I mean, the more eyes, the more people see him starring and doing things like, hitting home runs in the World Baseball Classic, they're going to be, why is it this guy who's going on what I think is his third season and not already up with the Guardians? So it could accelerate his timeline, we'll see.
I mean, the oblique injury definitely derailed that. Yeah. People still say are trying to say like we should have picked Jack Caglione or Nick Kurtz, or because they're already seeing results at the major league. Again, like don't put that all just on the player. That's also on like the organization and the way they approach all of this. Right. But pressure is a good thing. Bazzana, even if he goes to Columbus, him putting pressure on the Guardians and who's ever playing second base to play well, pressure's either going to make diamonds or burst the pipes. And then, it's either going to make a great second baseman for you that helps the team get off to a hot start, or it's going to have Bazzana up here earlier than even the All-Star break, which a lot of people, a lot of the experts say, even though fans want it to be sooner. And again, the more he plays well, the more that timeline moves up and up and up. But the pressure to hit for him to put that on, I think that's going to be very important. And I know a
Right.
lot of people said, well, he didn't actually play well for Australia in the World Baseball Classic. He batted like 180 something. Okay, he like I'm not looking at average in just 4 pull play games. That's all he got to play was 4 baseball games. And
With
it's
guys he
not
doesn't play with you normally, so
right. And
yeah.
he was probably the best hitter on that team. So guess what? Pitchers are going to pitch him differently and attack him differently when he's the best hitter versus when you have, hopefully Kyle Manzaro's hitting, and of course Stephen Kwan and Jose Ramirez and other guys. Like the deeper your lineup is, the more talent get. Like the numbers start to look great. I'm not looking at numbers. I'm looking at what he did in clutch moments. Hit some big home runs and some big hits for Australia to even give them a chance to advance. Did they advance? No, but like Bazana can't play everywhere. He
Right.
can't he can't hit everywhere. What I really love talking to Dre about though was you see like I think we talked about it a little bit, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, like the way that like
Mhm.
they man, oh man, like imagine if that's how baseball was
Fun. Right.
more often than not, like a party in the stands and
Yeah.
everything. Like I love baseball and I'm one of the people that will always stay with it. But to bring the average sports fan back in, Exhibit A, MLB, like, and I get it. Like these are pressure packed moments, so there's a lot on the line. So if you watched the Dominican Republic play like a longer season, maybe it's not like that because like not every game has that intensity to it.
Right.
But still, like that's fun.
Fun.
Looks like
I mean,
soccer.
the 17-year-old pitcher, the different colored hair, just I mean, yeah, like a soccer, like you said, like a soccer game. Just like
Yeah,
seems like it's a party. That's what it should be. Sounds
yeah.
like a Crushers game or something.
It's somewhere between like where like at the old athletics, old Oakland athletics, where like nobody's there and they cameras are finding people sleeping. Somewhere between that and like Latin America soccer, where you see like the fires started and like they have like these like high, almost like prison like fences
Right.
around the field, and people are still knocking those down and like starting riots and like what you're seeing the World Baseball Classic with the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, and just those as two as examples, like that's somewhere in between. Like that's the fun that you want. Like bat flips, man. Like I get these old unwritten rules, but kids nowadays they are attracted to swag and like like the strut out there on the field and the chains and all of that. Like bring kids in with that. Like teach them what respect means. Like you still got to be respectful with things, but you got to have fun. It's entertainment. Major League Baseball, I think, forgets that sports is still entertainment,
Yeah.
and it's become more entertainment now than it was when baseball was the official pastime of America. Like when it was in its heyday and its start, like the world's much different now. They take a lot longer to adapt to it than other people. I think that's the biggest issue with Major League Baseball.
Yeah. Real quick, Teresa Barnett on Twitter. Great show, guys. Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Real quick, I mean, I'm loving the videos coming out of Columbus. Like I'll watch that over uh, debates on Brown stuff for Columbus and Ohio State football. I'll watch Chris Henry catch a ball against nobody.
Yeah.
Somebody saying like because I think there was a clip of Chris Henry Jr. making a catch, but he was going to the outside and he like had to turn back in to catch it. Julian saying he's not the quarterback because he can't. Dude's just that was day one of throwing to the guy. He doesn't know where he wants them.
That lunatic fringe.
Lunatic
Man.
fringe to like the
Yeah.
nth degree, man. Like that's there. But I did want to update everyone on the crunch. They do have 2 home games this weekend against Toronto and Rockford. Those are the only 2 teams they've lost to. They did clinch their spot in Vegas in the playoffs, so they will be one of 4 teams out there vying for the MLIS crown coming up the last weekend in March, the 28th and 29th. but these games still matter. Like, you want to beat the teams that beat you. You want,
Right.
maybe you can sneak your way into, a little bit better seed. Maybe, take over for Toronto in that number one seed. Get a better matchup for yourself in game one in the semifinals. So still a lot on the line. I think a couple guys are out just because of travel and everything like that this weekend, but they should have a lot of their main people. Crazy Bone is not able to make it.
Yeah.
Travel issues and everything, but there's gonna be plenty of fun. Like I said, Greeny Sports Cards, our partner, they're gonna have the player packs for the crunch. Like, how cool is that?
Brownie the
And
Elf will be there. They're gonna retire a player's jersey. I saw.
yeah,
Um,
I think Moondog's, or not Moondog, the Chomps is gonna be there too. I think that they were trying to work on getting some of the other teams' mascots there. There's gonna be a lot of fun. I think there's stuff that they're not even letting people know, not even letting me know that's gonna happen. They're trying to appreciate their fans. Let's appreciate them. Let's fill up the Wolstein Center. But it's gonna. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a lot of fun. 7 p.m. on Saturday, and then matinee affair 2 p.m. on Sunday. Two games, two different teams, and you're gonna get a lot of good action, a lot of good entertainment coming up this weekend. So theclevelandcrunch.com, best place to go and look for tickets. Like you always talk about, Ryan, they're always talking about their buy one get one free deal. So
yeah.
check that out. Get in on that. The announcement I have for you. I don't think I told you yet, Ryan.
Okay.
Um, I will now. I'm not going to be in Vegas, but if people remember during COVID, like a lot of the main broadcasts, like Fox and ESPN, like when there were games, like some of them did go to the bubbles, but some of them did like remote location type calls of the games. So I will be in a remote location with the National Soccer Network that will be helping to
Ooh.
produce the championship weekend, like all six games. I'm talking two semis for the men, two semis for the women, both finals, men and women. I will be one of three of the broadcasters covering and calling these games, be a part of the action. So the voices behind what is happening in Vegas from a different location, but still, it's going to sound great. It's going to look great. I will be a part of that team. I was offered the opportunity, and I will be heading
Congrats, bro.
heading out the weekend of the 28th and 29th. So I will get a chance to cover, at least call championship weekend once again, like I did last year, just in a different form this year.
That's huge, bro. I'm proud of you. That's awesome, brother. Yeah,
That's
for
enough
those
of.
of you who don't know, Kevin is the official voice of the Cleveland Crunch. Any game that you stream on YouTube, tons of different streaming platforms that they've
Mhm.
added on at the end of this year or beginning of the season. Sorry, Kevin's voice is there, so that's a huge testament how great he is as well. So shout out to Kevin.
Yeah.
He's
You
awesome.
could
Go check out the
argue
Crunch.
you could argue making the moment or overtaking the moment. Like,
Right.
there was I think I posted on Facebook. I was trying to make the joke that you heard too much of my voice in some of these great highlights of the players, but it's been a true honor to do that and continue to do that. But that's enough about me. I don't want to talk about me anymore. You got a show you got to get to. Don't want to
We're
leave
fine.
you and your partner waiting to get that going with the Commissioner's Couch podcast coming up on the Inside Edge Network. Ryan, anything else you want to get off your chest before we sign off for the night?
Yeah, no, just shortly after this, Commissioner's Couch podcast, it'll be right on my Twitter if you're already following along in about 10 minutes. It's a fantasy football podcast. This is week 2 of breaking down wide receivers. We broke down 2 weeks of quarterbacks. This is our second week of breaking down receivers. We'll have 6 of them for you. And for those of you who were here earlier, you might be surprised where I have Omar Cooper from Indiana ranked. So 10 minutes, come stay tuned, and we're going to talk some fantasy football. So it's some prospects. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I wish Omar Cooper the best. I hope he doesn't just live off of one moment against Penn State to keep the undefeated season. That was him, right? That
Yeah.
1-footed catch in the back of the yeah. I hope, like, unlike Odell Beckham Jr., he doesn't only get to live off of one moment the rest of his tenure in football. That's a bit of a hot take that we're not going to get to right now because I've talked too much. I didn't let Ryan talk enough, I don't think, but he gets another
That's
show
fine,
coming
bro.
up
You're good.
next. This has been the Voice Land. We got to thank Greeny Sports Cards, greensportscards.com. Check them out. Greenshows.com is where you can get all of the information on the shows that they have coming up, especially the one in Independence, the big one, Great Lakes Collectors Convention in Independence coming up in April. And of course, thank you to Peter Tellup and LPD Productions for being our broadcast partner with getting the Voice of Land out there to all of you. For Ryan Moster and Kevin Arnold reminding all of you sports fans, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. We truly love you all 3,000. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
I got nothing.
That's the best thing you can do. Live life all gas, no breaks, because it helps him get to his show that he needs to do right
This
now.
one is precedent. We're good.
This has been the Voice of the Land. We'll see you next time right here on VTL.
I like that.